crowd as Simone stepped out of her car. 6 months pregnant, she smoothed her emerald green gown over her belly and took a deep breath. Tonight was supposed to be her night. After 3 years of building her foundation from nothing, she was receiving the Humanitarian of the Year award at the city's most prestigious charity gala. "Mrs. Blake, you look absolutely radiant," the photographer called out as she made her way up the red carpet. She smiled and posed, one hand resting on her growing bump, the other clutching her silver evening bag. 500 guests waited inside, including business leaders, politicians, and society figures. Somewhere in that crowd was her husband Harrison, who had promised to meet her here after his business dinner ran late. The ballroom buzzed with conversation and the soft notes of a string quartet. Women in designer gowns air-kissed while men in tuxedos discussed deals over champagne. Simone accepted congratulations as she moved through the crowd, searching for Harrison's tall frame and dark hair. She wanted him beside her when they called her name. Then she saw him. Near the back of the ballroom, partially hidden by a marble column, Harrison had his arms wrapped around a woman in a red dress. Not a polite hug. Not a friendly greeting. His hands were on her waist, his face buried in her neck, her fingers tangled in his hair. They swayed together like they were the only two people in the room. Simone's feet stopped moving. Her hand tightened on her evening bag until her knuckles went white. The woman in red tilted her head back, laughing at something Harrison whispered. The light caught her face. Natasha. Simone's former college roommate. The woman who had been at their wedding. Who had held Simone's hand during her first miscarriage. Who had been invited to Sunday dinners and holiday gatherings. Who knew everything about their life together. The room tilted sideways. Simone reached for a nearby table to steady herself. A waiter appeared at her elbow with concern in his eyes. "Ma'am, are you all right? Should I get someone?" "I'm fine," she heard herself say. "Just need some water." But she wasn't fine. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Her baby kicked hard as if sensing her distress. Across the room, Harrison's hand slid lower down Natasha's back, intimate and possessive. Natasha pressed closer, her red lips curved in a satisfied smile. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC's voice boomed through the speakers. "Please take your seats. We're about to begin the award ceremony." People began moving toward the tables. Harrison and Natasha finally broke apart, but not before he kissed her forehead with a tenderness that made Simone's stomach turn. They walked in opposite directions, Natasha toward a table on the left, Harrison scanning the crowd with false concern on his face. He spotted Simone and his expression shifted into what she now recognized as a performance. The loving husband face. He hurried over, reaching for her hand. "There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. You look beautiful, sweetheart." He leaned in to kiss her cheek. Simone let him. She stood perfectly still as his lips brushed her skin, the same lips that had just been on Natasha's neck. Up close she could smell perfume on him. Not her perfume. Something spicy and floral. Natasha's signature scent. "Your dinner ran late," she said. Her voice came out calm, almost normal. "You know how these investors are. Talk, talk, talk." He placed his hand on her lower back, guiding her toward their table at the front of the room. "But I'm here now. Wouldn't miss your big moment for anything." Lies. All lies. He hadn't been at any business dinner. He'd been here in this very room with his arms around another woman. And Simone had caught him. But he didn't know that yet. They sat at the head table with other honorees and foundation leaders. Harrison made small talk with the man next to him about stock prices while his hand rested on Simone's shoulder. A possessive touch. Claiming. "Look at my beautiful pregnant wife," the gesture said. "Look at what a devoted husband I am." Across the room, Natasha sat at a table with other young professionals. She caught Simone's eye and waved, her smile bright and friendly. As if nothing had happened. As if she hadn't just been wrapped in a married man's arms. Simone's husband's arms. Simone waved back. She even smiled. The same smile she'd been perfecting for years at these events. Gracious. Warm. Unthreatening. And now, the MC announced, it's time to honor someone who has dedicated her life to helping others. In just 3 years, she's built a foundation that provides housing, job training, and educational opportunities to over 5,000 families. Please welcome this year's Humanitarian of the Year, Simone Blake. Applause thundered through the ballroom. People stood. Cameras flashed. Harrison squeezed her shoulder and kissed her temple, playing his part perfectly. Simone rose from her seat. Her legs felt strange, disconnected from her body, but they carried her to the stage. She climbed the stairs carefully, one hand on the railing, her green gown flowing behind her. The spotlight found her face, bright and hot. The foundation's board president handed her the crystal trophy. It was heavy and cold in her hands. "Thank you," Simone said into the microphone. Her voice projected through the speakers, steady and clear. 3 years ago, I started this foundation because I believed everyone deserves a chance to rebuild their life. To start over when things fall apart. She looked out at the sea of faces. Harrison sat at the front table, pride written across his features. Behind him, Natasha watched with that same friendly smile. "I've learned that the strongest people aren't those who never fall down. They're the ones who get back up. Who refuse to let betrayal and pain define them. Who choose to build something new instead of staying in situations that slowly kill their spirit." The words came from somewhere deep inside. She hadn't planned this speech. She'd written something safe and boring about gratitude and community. But standing here, 6 months pregnant, holding this trophy while her husband's mistress sat in the audience, different words poured out. Thank you to everyone who supported this foundation. Thank you to the families who trusted us with their stories. And thank you to those who showed me that sometimes the worst moments become doorways to the best chapters of your life. More applause. People dabbed at their eyes, moved by words they didn't understand. Only Simone knew the truth behind each sentence. She descended the stairs and returned to her seat. Harrison took her hand and squeezed it. "That was beautiful," he murmured. "I'm so proud of you." She looked at him. Really looked at him. This man she'd been married to for 7 years. This man whose child grew inside her body. This man who had just been holding another woman with such intimacy that it made her physically sick. "Are you?" she asked quietly. "Of course I am. You're amazing." She nodded slowly. Then she turned her attention to the stage as the next award was announced. Her hand stayed in his, warm and alive. But something inside her chest had gone very cold and very still. The gala continued around them. Courses were served and removed. Wine flowed freely, though Simone only sipped water. Speeches were made. Donations were pledged. Harrison networked with his usual charm, introducing Simone to business partners and potential investors for his company. Natasha drifted past their table at one point. "Congratulations again, Simone. Your speech was incredibly moving." "Thank you," Simone replied. "That's a stunning dress. Harrison has great taste. He helped me pick it out." The words hung in the air between them. An admission disguised as a compliment. Harrison's hand tightened on his wine glass, but his expression never changed. "He does have opinions about what looks good," Simone agreed. "Don't you, darling?" "Only when it comes to my wife," Harrison said smoothly. "Everyone else is on their own." Natasha laughed and moved on. Harrison excused himself to the restroom shortly after. Simone sat alone at the head table, her trophy reflecting the chandelier light into her eyes. Her baby kicked again, a strong jab against her ribs. She looked down at her belly at this child who would be born in 3 months. What kind of father would Harrison be? Would he slip away for secret meetings while Simone recovered from childbirth? Would he miss first steps because he was with Natasha? No. The thought came sharp and clear. No. She wouldn't allow that. This child deserved better. Simone deserved better. She reached for her evening bag and pulled out her phone. Ignoring the disapproving glances from people who thought phones had no place at formal events, she opened her browser and typed, "Best divorce attorney near me." Harrison returned to the table. "Ready to go home?" "Actually," Simone said, "I think I'll stay a bit longer. You know how these events are. Networking opportunities." He looked surprised but pleased. "Of course. Whatever you need. I do have an early meeting, so I might head out soon." "Meeting with Natasha?" The words slipped out before she could stop them. Harrison's face went blank for half a second. Then the mask slipped back into place. "What? No. Why would I have a meeting with Natasha?" "You tell me. You seem close." "She's an old friend." "Your old friend, actually?" Simone smiled. "Yes, she is. Or was." She stood up, smoothing her gown. "I need to speak with some donors. Don't wait up." She walked away before he could respond, her head high, her steps careful. She made her way through the crowd, accepting congratulations and making small talk. But her mind worked furiously, already planning her next moves. The spotlight moment was over. The performance had ended. Now the real work would begin. Simone didn't go home that night. She told Harrison she was staying with her sister to help plan a baby shower. He barely questioned it, probably relieved to have the house to himself. Probably so he could call Natasha without worry. Instead, Simone checked into a hotel suite and called someone Harrison didn't know about. Her accountant friend from college? A woman named Francine who specialized in forensic analysis. "I need you to look at something," Simone said when Francine arrived at midnight with her laptop. "I think my husband has been moving money." They sat at the desk while Francine worked through passwords and security systems. Simone had access to all their accounts. Harrison had insisted on it, proof of his transparency. Trust, he called it. By 3 in the morning, Francine sat back with a low whistle. "You were right. He's been moving money for at least 2 years. Small amounts at first, then larger transfers. All to an account under a business name. Sapphire Holdings LLC. Who owns it?" Francine pulled up the registration documents. Natasha Chin. There it was. Proof in black and white. Not just an affair. Financial betrayal too. Harrison had been funneling their money into an account for his mistress. "How much?" Simone asked. "So far? About $2 million. But there's more. He's purchased property under this LLC. A condo downtown. A beach house. Even a car." Simone's hands clenched in her lap. $2 million. Enough to fund her foundation for years. Instead, it had gone to set up his side piece in luxury. "Can you document everything? Every transfer, every purchase, every date and time?" "Already doing it. But Simone, you need a lawyer. A really good one." "I know." Simone pulled up the search results from earlier. First thing tomorrow? She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she reviewed every document Francine prepared. Bank statements showing the pattern of transfers. Property deeds. Credit card bills for restaurants and hotels. A trail of lies stretching back years. At 7 in the morning, she called the first attorney on her list. By 9, she sat in a corner office overlooking the city. "Mrs. Blake, I've reviewed what you sent over," the attorney said. Her name was Diane Foster, and she had a reputation for winning big cases. "You have an exceptionally strong case." "Because of the affair?" "The affair, yes. But also the financial misconduct. Your husband has been stealing marital assets and transferring them to his paramour. That's not just infidelity. That's fraud." Diane leaned forward. "Tell me about your prenuptial agreement." "We signed one before the wedding." Harrison insisted. "His family wanted to protect their assets." "Do you have a copy?" Simone pulled it from her bag. She'd stopped at the house that morning while Harrison was in the shower, retrieving documents from their safe. He never noticed. Diane read through it carefully, her expression growing more satisfied with each page. Finally, she looked up with a sharp smile. "This is going to be very, very good for you. The infidelity clause is ironclad. If your husband commits adultery, you receive 70% of all marital assets acquired during the marriage. That includes his company stock, properties, investments, everything." 70%? His family lawyers were so focused on protecting premarital assets that they never thought he'd be the cheating party. They assumed if anyone broke the marriage, it would be you. They made the penalty harsh to discourage you from leaving. Simone absorbed this. All those years ago, Harrison's mother had insisted on the prenup. Called it protection. Common sense. Simone had signed without much thought, hurt that they didn't trust her but willing to prove her love wasn't about money. Now that same prenup would destroy him. "What about the foundation?" Simone asked. "We built it together, but most of the funding came from my inheritance from my grandmother." "That makes it yours. Community property laws don't apply to inherited assets used for charitable purposes. The foundation is yours, free and clear." "And custody?" Diane's expression softened. "That's trickier. He's the father. But given the financial misconduct in the affair, I can argue for primary custody with supervised visitation until he proves stability." They talked for 2 more hours. Diane explained the process, the timeline, what to expect. She told Simone to go home and act normal while they prepared the filing. "Don't let him know you know," Diane warned. "The element of surprise is crucial. Let him think everything is fine." Simone went home. Harrison sat in his office on the phone with someone. He waved when he saw her but didn't pause his conversation. She went upstairs to their bedroom and looked around. How many times had he lied to her in this room? How many nights had he come home from Natasha and slipped into bed beside her? Her phone buzzed. A text from Natasha. "Had so much fun seeing you last night. We should get lunch soon. Miss you, girl." Simone stared at the message. The audacity. The sheer nerve to act like they were still friends while sleeping with her husband. She typed back, "Would love that. How about next week?" Natasha's response came immediately, "Perfect. I'll text you some dates." Simone set the phone down. In the mirror above the dresser, she saw her reflection. Pregnant, tired, but not broken. not defeated. Over the next 2 weeks, Simone became a detective. She photographed documents when Harrison left his office unlocked. She recorded conversations where he lied about his whereabouts. She tracked his location through the family sharing app on his phone, which he'd forgotten was activated. She discovered that every Tuesday and Thursday night when he said he was at the gym, he was actually at the downtown condo. Natasha's condo. The one he'd bought with their money. She found hotel receipts for weekend getaways when he'd claimed work trips. She found jewelry receipts for pieces she'd never received. Birthday and anniversary gifts meant for someone else, purchased with marital funds. One afternoon, while Harrison played golf, Simone sat in their home office and methodically photographed every relevant document. Bank statements, contracts, emails he'd left open on his computer. Her phone camera clicked dozens of times. Each image was another nail in his coffin. Harrison never suspected. He came home cheerful, kissed her belly, asked about her day. At dinner, he talked about expanding his company. At night, he held her carefully, mindful of her pregnancy. The perfect husband. "I was thinking," he said one evening, "after the baby comes, maybe we could take a family trip. Somewhere tropical. Just the three of us." "That sounds nice," Simone replied. She cut her chicken into neat pieces. "Where were you thinking? Maybe Hawaii? Or the Caribbean? Whatever you think is best." He smiled and squeezed her hand. "I love you. You know that, right?" "I know what you tell me." He didn't catch the distinction. He never did. He was too confident in his deception, too sure she would never question him. Natasha met her for lunch on Wednesday. They sat at a trendy cafe, surrounded by young professionals on their breaks. Natasha ordered a salad and wine. Simone stuck with water and soup. "You're glowing," Natasha said. "Pregnancy suits you." "Thank you." "How's work?" "Busy. Really busy. But exciting." She leaned in conspiratorially. "I might be getting promoted soon. My boss has been really supportive lately." Simone knew Natasha's boss was Harrison's golf partner. Another connection. Another thread in the web. "That's wonderful. You deserve it. How's Harrison?" "I haven't seen him in forever." The lie came so easily. Simone watched Natasha's face, looking for any hint of guilt or shame. Nothing. Just cheerful friendliness and barely concealed satisfaction. "He's good. Working hard. You know how he is. Such a dedicated man. You're lucky." "Am I?" Natasha laughed. "Of course. He's successful, handsome, completely devoted to you. That's rare these days." Simone sipped her water. "What about you? Anyone special in your life?" For just a second, something flickered across Natasha's face. Triumph? Smugness? "I'm dating someone. It's new. Very new. I'm not ready to talk about it yet." "I understand. When you are ready, I'd love to hear about him." They finished lunch. Natasha hugged her goodbye, and Simone let herself be held by the woman who was destroying her marriage. She even smiled. Back in her car, Simone's hands shook. She gripped the steering wheel until the shaking stopped. Then she called Diane. "I have everything. Every piece of evidence we need." "Good. Come to my office tomorrow. We'll file Friday morning." That night, Simone cooked Harrison's favorite meal. Steak, roasted vegetables, homemade bread. She set the table with candles and their wedding china. She put on a dress he liked. "What's all this?" he asked when he came home. "I just wanted to do something nice. We've both been so busy." He kissed her long and slow. "Have I told you lately how much I appreciate you? You could stand to say it more often." He laughed. "Fair enough. You're incredible. The best thing that ever happened to me." They ate dinner. He talked about a new contract his company was pursuing. She asked interested questions and made supportive comments. The devoted wife. The perfect partner. After dinner, they sat on the couch together. Harrison rubbed her feet while they watched a movie. His hands were gentle, practiced. She wondered if he touched Natasha the same way. "I should travel less after the baby comes," he said. "Be home more." "That would be nice. You'll be a great mother. Our daughter is lucky to have you." Simone looked at him. This man she'd loved for so long. This man who had promised to honor her, to be faithful, to build a life with her. This man who had broken every vow while smiling in her face. "Harrison," she said quietly. "Yes." "Do you love me?" He looked surprised. "Of course I do. Why would you ask that?" "Just wondering. Sometimes I forget." He pulled her close, careful of her belly. "I'll try to remind you more often. You're everything to me, Simone. Don't ever doubt that." She rested against him, feeling his heartbeat against her cheek. Steady. Strong. Built on lies. I won't, she said. I won't doubt it anymore. And she meant it. She didn't doubt anymore. She knew exactly what he was. And on Friday morning he would know that she knew. Thursday morning arrived bright and clear. Simone woke up next to Harrison, his arm draped over her hip, his breathing deep and even. She lay still for a moment, memorizing this feeling. Not because she wanted to remember the closeness, but because she wanted to remember how easily someone could lie while holding you. She slipped out of bed carefully. Harrison stirred but didn't wake. Downstairs she made coffee and toast, the same breakfast routine they'd shared for 7 years. When he came down 30 minutes later, freshly showered and dressed for work, everything looked normal. Big day, she asked, handing him his coffee just how he liked it. Board meeting at 10. Should be interesting. We're discussing the expansion plans. He kissed her forehead. What about you? Doctor's appointment at 2. Just a routine checkup. Want me to come? You're busy? I'll be fine. He looked relieved. Text me after? Let me know what the doctor says. Of course. He left at 8, briefcase in hand, phone already pressed to his ear. Through the window, Simone watched his car disappear down the tree-lined street. Then she went upstairs to his office. She'd been through his files a dozen times over the past 2 weeks, but today she needed something specific. Harrison kept a locked drawer in his desk, one he thought she didn't know about. She'd found the key weeks ago, taped under a false bottom in his pencil holder. Inside the drawer were more documents, more evidence, but also something new, a small black box from an expensive jewelry store. Simone opened it. A diamond necklace sparkled inside, delicate and beautiful. There was a card tucked beneath it. For N, happy anniversary. 3 perfect years. Simone's hand trembled. Anniversary. They'd been having an affair for 3 years. That meant it started when Simone was working 80-hour weeks to get her foundation off the ground. When she came home exhausted and fell asleep on the couch. When Harrison complained about feeling neglected. She photographed the necklace and card. Then she put everything back exactly as she'd found it, locked the drawer and replaced the key. Her doctor's appointment was real, but she had time before that. At 9:30 she met with Diane at her office. The attorney had assembled a team, 2 paralegals and another forensic accountant. We're filing tomorrow at 9 in the morning, Diane said. I want to walk you through exactly what will happen. They spent an hour reviewing every detail. The divorce petition. The restraining order preventing Harrison from accessing joint accounts. The motion for emergency custody. The documentation of financial misconduct. He'll be served at his office, Diane explained. We'll have someone waiting outside the board meeting. The moment it ends, he'll get the papers. Maximum impact, minimum privacy. Won't that seem cruel? Simone asked. Diane's expression hardened. He stole $2 million from you to support his mistress. He lied to you for 3 years. He made you doubt your own worth while planning a future with someone else. No, Simone. This isn't cruel. This is justice. Simone nodded. She was done being soft. Done being understanding. Done making excuses for him. Her doctor's appointment went smoothly. The baby was healthy and growing right on schedule. A girl just as they'd known. Due in 12 weeks. How are you feeling emotionally? Her doctor asked. Any unusual stress or anxiety? I'm managing. It's normal to feel overwhelmed. Pregnancy hormones, preparing for a baby, all the changes coming. Don't hesitate to reach out if you need support. Simone promised she would. But her stress had nothing to do with hormones or normal pregnancy concerns. Her stress came from dismantling her entire life while pretending nothing was wrong. She stopped at the supermarket on the way home. Harrison had asked for his favorite dessert, chocolate cake with raspberry filling. She bought ingredients and spent the afternoon baking. When he came home at 6, the house smelled like chocolate and sugar. Wow, he said, loosening his tie. What did I do to deserve this? Nothing. I just felt like baking. They ate dinner together. Harrison talked about the board meeting, how well his presentation went, how excited everyone was about the expansion. He was animated, energized, completely at ease. I'm thinking of taking Natasha on as a consultant, he said casually. She has great ideas about market positioning. Simone's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Really? Yeah. She's sharp. Always has been. You picked a good friend back in college. I thought I did. He didn't hear the edge in her voice. The consulting gig would mean she'd be around more. At the office, at company events. That okay with you? Why wouldn't it be? I don't know. Some wives get weird about their husbands working with other women. Simone set down her fork. Do I seem like the type to get weird about that? No. That's why I love you. You're secure. Confident. You trust me. I do trust you, she said. I trust you to be exactly who you are. Again he missed it. The double meaning sailed right over his head. He reached across the table and took her hand. How was the doctor? Good. Baby's perfect. She's measuring right on track. That's my girl. He squeezed her fingers. Both my girls actually. I'm so lucky. After dinner he went to his office to make calls. Simone cleaned up, loading the dishwasher with methodical precision. Each plate, each glass, each piece of silverware. Everything in its proper place. One last time. She heard him through the door, his voice low and warm. No, she doesn't suspect anything. I know, baby, I know. Soon, I promise. Just a few more months. Once the baby comes and things settle down. Yes, I got you something. You'll love it. Tuesday night? Perfect. I'll tell her I have a late meeting. Simone's hands stilled in the soapy water. She closed her eyes and breathed. In through her nose. Out through her mouth. The same breathing technique her therapist taught her years ago for managing stress. Tomorrow. Just make it until tomorrow. She dried her hands and went upstairs. In the nursery, she looked at the crib they'd assembled together. The rocking chair where she planned to nurse her daughter. The mobile with soft animals that played a gentle lullaby. Her daughter would grow up knowing the truth. That her mother chose strength over comfort. That her mother refused to accept lies and betrayal. That her mother valued herself enough to walk away from someone who didn't treasure her. Harrison found her there an hour later. Hey, you okay? Just thinking about the future. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands resting on her belly. It's going to be amazing. I promise. Our little family. What if things don't work out the way you planned? What do you mean? What if life surprises you? Changes direction when you least expect it? He laughed softly. Then we'll adapt. That's what families do. We'll figure it out together. She leaned back against him one last time. Tomorrow she would walk away from this. From him. From all the lies and broken promises. But tonight, for these last few hours, she let herself mourn what she thought they had. They went to bed early. Harrison fell asleep quickly, his arm across her waist. Simone lay awake, watching shadows move across the ceiling. At some point her phone buzzed. A text from Natasha. Can't wait for Tuesday. It's been too long. Another text followed immediately. Oops. Wrong person. Ignore that. Simone smiled in the darkness. Even their attempts at deception were sloppy. They'd gotten so comfortable in their betrayal that they'd stopped being careful. She typed back, no worries. Have fun Tuesday. She could almost feel Natasha's panic through the phone. 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before a response finally came. Thanks. You're the best. Simone deleted the messages. Tomorrow, Diane's team would have her phone records anyway. More evidence. More proof. More nails. At midnight, she got up and walked through the house. The living room where they'd celebrated Christmas. The kitchen where they'd cooked together on Sunday mornings. The patio where they'd had their wedding reception all those years ago. She wasn't sad exactly. She was something else. Something colder and sharper. She was done. At 5 in the morning, while Harrison still slept, Simone began packing. Not much. Just essentials. Clothes, documents, personal items. She'd arranged for movers to come next week for the rest. But she wanted her important things with her when she left. She loaded her car in the pre-dawn darkness. 3 suitcases. 2 boxes. Her laptop and files. When she came back inside, Harrison was stirring. Where are you going? He asked groggily, seeing her dressed. Early breakfast with my sister. Planning the baby shower. Remember? Oh, right. What time will you be back? Not sure. Might make a day of it. Shopping, you know. He kissed her goodbye, barely awake. Have fun. Love you. Goodbye, Harrison. If he noticed she said goodbye instead of love you too, he didn't mention it. He was already reaching for his phone, probably to text Natasha. Simone drove to the hotel where she'd stayed 2 weeks ago. She checked into a suite and carried her things inside. At 8:30 she called Diane. I'm ready. File it. Consider it done. The process server is already in position outside his building. The moment that board meeting ends, he'll be served. Simone sat by the window looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Harrison sat in his glass-walled office, completely unaware that his life was about to explode. Somewhere out there, Natasha was probably getting ready for her day, planning what to wear for their Tuesday meeting. They had no idea what was coming. At 10:15 Diane called. It's done. He's been served. My assistant is there and says he looks absolutely shocked. Simone closed her eyes. It was over. The pretending. The lying. The fake normal. Everything was about to change, and for the first time in weeks she felt like she could breathe. Harrison called 17 times in the first hour. Simone didn't answer. She sat in her hotel suite, phone buzzing relentlessly on the table beside her, and watched it light up with each call. Harrison, mobile. Again. And again. And again. After the calls came text. First confused, what's going on? Call me. Then angry, this is insane. We need to talk right now. Then desperate, please? Simone. Just talk to me. We can fix this. She read each one and deleted it. Diane had been clear. No contact except through lawyers. Anything she said could be used to show reconciliation attempts. Could weaken her case. Could make her look uncertain. She wasn't uncertain. For the first time in 3 years she knew exactly what she was doing. Her phone rang again. This time Natasha. Simone declined the call. 2 minutes later a text appeared. Simone, Harrison called me freaking out. What's happening? Are you okay? The nerve. The absolute audacity. Even now, Natasha was pretending to be the concerned friend instead of the other woman. Simone typed a response. I'm fine. Better than fine. Harrison knows where to find me, through his attorney. She blocked the number before Natasha could reply. By noon, she had 37 missed calls and 62 text messages. Some from Harrison. Some from Natasha. Some from Harrison's mother, who'd apparently been informed and had opinions about ungrateful wives and family reputation. Simone ordered room service and turned off her phone. She sat by the window eating pasta and salad while the city moved below her. People going about their regular Friday. Going to lunch. Running errands. Living lives that hadn't just been torn apart. At 2, someone knocked on her door. Simone looked through the peephole and saw a hotel security guard. Mrs. Blake? There's a gentleman in the lobby asking for you. Says it's urgent. We told him we can't give out room numbers, but he's quite insistent. Tell him I'm not available. And if he won't leave, call the police. The guard nodded. Yes, ma'am. We'll handle it. 20 minutes later, Diane called. Harrison showed up at my office. Had to have security escort him out. He's not handling this well. What did he say? The usual. This is all a misunderstanding. You're not thinking clearly. The pregnancy hormones are making you irrational. He loves you. He'd never betray you. On and on. Did you show him the evidence? Every single photo. Every bank statement. Every property deed. His face was something to see. Diane's voice held satisfaction. He tried to claim the money was for business purposes. When I pointed out the account belonged to Natasha Chin, he got very quiet. What's his next move? He'll lawyer up. Probably by Monday. But Simone, you need to understand something. The prenup is airtight. He has no way out of this. Best case scenario for him, he walks away with 30% of marital assets. Worst case, we prove financial fraud and he gets even less. Good. After she hung up, Simone finally turned her phone back on. 114 notifications. She scrolled through them all. Harrison's messages had progressed from anger to bargaining. I made mistakes, but we can work through this. Think about our daughter. She needs her father. You're throwing away 7 years over one mistake. One mistake. As if 3 years of systematic lying and cheating was a single error. As if stealing $2 million was an oops. She deleted everything and opened a new message to her sister, the only person besides Diane who knew what was happening. It's done. I'm at the Grandview Hotel, Suite 412. Can you come? Her sister Tanya arrived 30 minutes later with wine for herself and sparkling cider for Simone. She pulled Simone into a fierce hug. I can't believe he actually did this. I mean, I can. But I can't. They sat on the couch together. Tanya opened her wine and poured Simone's cider into a champagne flute. Tell me everything. Don't leave out a single detail. Simone told her. About the gala. About seeing Harrison and Natasha together. About the weeks of investigation and evidence gathering. About the prenup that would destroy him financially. About the property and money he'd funneled to his mistress. Tanya's expression grew darker with every sentence. When Simone finished, her sister was gripping her wine glass so hard her knuckles were white. I want to hurt him, Tanya said flatly. I want to hurt both of them. The law will do that for us. We don't have to. $2 million. 3 years. Your whole pregnancy. Oh, Simone. Tanya set down her glass and took Simone's hands. "How are you this calm?" "I'm not calm. I'm angry. But I can't fall apart yet. I have too much to do." They spent the evening making plans. Tanya would help Simone move her things from the house. They'd start looking for a permanent place, somewhere just for Simone and the baby. Somewhere with no memories of Harrison. "What about the foundation?" Tanya asked. "That's mine." Diane confirmed it. "He has no claim to it." "And the baby?" "Primary custody. He'll have supervised visitation until he proves he's stable. Which might take a while, given his company is about to face major scrutiny for the fraud." Saturday morning came. Simone woke up to find her phone silent for the first time since the filing. No calls. No texts. Maybe Harrison had finally accepted that she wouldn't respond. Then Diane called at 9. "We have a problem. Harrison filed an emergency motion. He's claiming you kidnapped yourself and the baby. That you're mentally unstable and dangerous. He wants immediate custody." Simone sat up. "What?" "It's a ridiculous claim. No judge will take it seriously. But we need to respond. Can you come to my office today?" By 10, Simone sat in Diane's conference room with 3 other attorneys. They reviewed Harrison's filing. It was desperate and sloppy, full of wild accusations and no supporting evidence. "He's panicking," one of the lawyers said. "This is what people do when they know they're caught. They throw everything at the wall hoping something sticks." "He claims you've been acting erratically," Diane read. "That you've been secretive and paranoid. That you disappeared without explanation, and he fears for your safety and the baby's. I have doctor's records showing I'm perfectly healthy. I have witnesses who can testify to my state of mind. I have bank records showing I paid for this hotel with my own credit card. There's no kidnapping. I left." "Exactly. We'll file our response Monday. The judge will schedule a hearing. And Harrison will look like exactly what he is, a cheating husband trying to manipulate the system." That afternoon, Simone went to the house with Tanya and a moving company. Harrison's car wasn't in the driveway. Either he was avoiding her or he'd been told by his attorney not to be present. The house felt different now. Empty. Cold. She walked through rooms that had once meant something and felt nothing. This was just a building. Just walls and furniture. Home was wherever she decided to make it. The movers worked efficiently, loading boxes of her clothes, her books, her personal items. She took the rocking chair from the nursery but left the crib. Harrison could deal with that. She took her grandmother's china but left the wedding presents. She took every photo album and hard drive containing family pictures. In Harrison's office, she found the locked drawer open. The jewelry box was gone. He'd probably given it to Natasha already, rushing to show her he still cared while his life collapsed around him. Simone smiled. Let him. Let Natasha wear diamonds paid for with stolen money. When the forensic accountant finished his report, every gift would be documented. Every dinner. Every hotel room. Every lie. By evening, her things were in storage and she was back at the hotel. She ordered dinner and sat on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. Her baby kicked steadily, a constant reminder of why she was doing this. Sunday, she went to brunch with Tanya and some close friends who'd been told everything. They surrounded her with love and support and stories of their own divorces and betrayals. "You're so brave," one friend said. "I stayed for 3 more years after I found out. Wasted 3 years hoping he'd change." "You're not wasting anything anymore," another added. "You're choosing yourself. That's everything." Monday morning, Diane called with news. Harrison hired Gerald Stein. Big-name attorney. Very expensive. Can he win? Not against our evidence. But he'll make it expensive and drawn out. Be prepared for a fight. I am prepared. I've been preparing. That afternoon, they filed their response to Harrison's emergency motion. It included doctor's statements, witness affidavits, and a detailed timeline showing Simone's careful planning and rational decision-making. It also included a counter-motion for emergency support payments, since Harrison had frozen their joint accounts the moment he was served. By Tuesday, the story had leaked to the press. Not everything, but enough. Billionaire Harrison Blake's wife files for divorce amid infidelity allegations. Simone's phone started ringing with reporters. She ignored them all. Diane issued a statement. Mrs. Blake asks for privacy during this difficult time. She will not be making any public comments. Wednesday morning, she had her emergency hearing. She dressed carefully in a navy dress that showed her pregnancy clearly but looked professional and put together. She wore minimal makeup and her grandmother's pearls. The wronged wife. The mother-to-be. the victim of betrayal. Harrison sat on the other side of the courtroom with Gerald Stein. He looked terrible. Unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, his suit wrinkled. He stared at Simone like he could will her to look at him. She kept her eyes forward. The judge reviewed both motions. Harrison's attorney spoke first, painting a picture of a troubled marriage and an unstable wife who'd fled without warning. Then Diane stood. She presented the evidence calmly and methodically. The affair. The financial fraud. The systematic lying. The prenuptial agreement and its infidelity clause. Simone's clean bill of health from her doctor. Witness statements from friends and family. The judge looked at Harrison with barely concealed disgust. Motion for emergency custody denied. Mrs. Blake is clearly competent and has made reasonable arrangements for herself and her unborn child. Emergency support payments are granted. Mr. Blake will pay $20,000 monthly until the divorce is finalized. Harrison's face went gray. $20,000 monthly. Plus legal fees. Plus the eventual settlement that would take 70% of everything. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Simone kept her head down and let Diane handle them. But she heard one question clearly. Mrs. Blake, do you have anything to say to your husband? She stopped. Against Diane's advice, she turned and looked directly at the cameras. I have nothing to say to my husband. But I have something to say to anyone watching who's been lied to and betrayed. You deserve better. You are worth more. And walking away from someone who doesn't treasure you isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself. Then she got in the car and left Harrison standing on the courthouse steps, surrounded by reporters asking questions he couldn't answer. The video went viral overnight. Simone's statement on the courthouse steps, delivered with quiet dignity while 6 months pregnant, became a rallying cry. Within 24 hours, it had 15 million views across social media. Within 48 hours, news outlets were running features about her foundation and her work. Billionaire's wife speaks out after filing for divorce. The real story behind Harrison Blake's crumbling marriage. Simone Blake, from betrayed wife to symbol of strength. Simone watched the coverage from her hotel room with a mix of satisfaction and exhaustion. She hadn't wanted to become a public figure. But Diane was right, controlling the narrative mattered. Harrison tried to fight back. His attorney released a statement calling the divorce filing premature and claiming Harrison was committed to working on the marriage. But it was too little too late. The public had already decided whose side they were on. Then someone leaked the details. Not from Simone's side, Diane would never risk their case. But someone in Harrison's circle, maybe a disgruntled employee or a business partner looking to distance themselves, gave a reporter the full story. The affair with Natasha. The 3 years of lies. The $2 million in transferred assets. The properties purchased under an LLC. Everything. The article ran Thursday morning in the city's major newspaper. By noon it was everywhere. Natasha's employer released a statement. Ms. Chen's employment has been terminated, effective immediately. Harrison's company stock dropped 8% in a single day. His board called an emergency meeting. 3 major investors pulled out, citing concerns about his judgment and potential fraud charges. Simone received dozens of messages from people she hadn't heard from in years. Some were supportive. Others were nosy, looking for inside information. She ignored most of them. But there was one message she couldn't ignore. From Natasha. Please call me. I need to explain. This isn't what it looks like. Simone stared at the message for a long time. Part of her wanted to respond. Wanted to ask what exactly it looked like, if not a deliberate betrayal by someone she trusted. Wanted to ask how Natasha justified sleeping with a married man whose wife called her a friend. She typed out 3 different responses before deleting them all. Natasha didn't deserve an explanation. Didn't deserve closure. She'd made her choices. Now she could live with them. Instead, Simone forwarded the message to Diane with a note. More evidence of contact. She's trying to manipulate me. Friday afternoon, Harrison's mother showed up at the hotel. The front desk called up, asking if Simone would see her. No, Simone said immediately. Ma'am, she's quite insistent. She says it's about the baby. Simone hesitated. Harrison's mother, Patricia, had always been cold to her. Had insisted on the prenup. Had made it clear that Simone wasn't quite good enough for their family. But she was still the baby's grandmother. Fine. Tell her to meet me in the lobby restaurant in 30 minutes. She dressed carefully again. Professional. Put together. She wasn't going to give Patricia any ammunition about looking unstable or sloppy. Patricia sat at a corner table, perfectly coiffed as always, her designer suit and pearls a statement of old money elegance. She didn't stand when Simone approached. "Thank you for seeing me," Patricia said stiffly. "You said this was about the baby." "It is. And about you being reasonable." Simone sat down slowly. "Reasonable? This divorce is unnecessary. All marriages go through rough patches. Harrison made a mistake, yes, but that's no reason to destroy the family. He had an affair for 3 years. He stole $2 million. Those aren't mistakes. Those are choices." Patricia waved a dismissive hand. "Mistress, it's unfortunate but not uncommon. The important thing is that he came home to you. That he's committed to his family." Simone felt something cold settle in her chest. "Is that how it worked in your marriage? Your husband strayed and you accepted it?" Patricia's expression tightened. "My marriage is none of your concern. And mine is none of yours. I'm divorcing Harrison. That's final. Think about the child. She deserves to grow up in an intact home with both parents. She deserves to grow up seeing her mother value herself. Seeing that betrayal has consequences. Seeing that love shouldn't mean accepting abuse." "Abuse?" Patricia laughed, sharp and bitter. "You live in a mansion. You have everything you could want. Harrison provided well for you. Accept honesty. Accept fidelity. Accept basic respect." Simone leaned forward. "Material comfort doesn't erase emotional harm. And I'm not teaching my daughter that money matters more than dignity. You're being dramatic. Emotional. This is exactly why that prenup was necessary. Your people always make everything about feelings instead of practical considerations. Your people." There it was. The racism that Patricia usually kept polished and subtle. Simone stood up. "This conversation is over. If you want to be in your granddaughter's life, you'll speak to me with respect. If you can't do that, you won't see her at all." She walked away without looking back. Behind her, she heard Patricia calling after her, voice sharp with indignation. Simone kept walking. That evening, she received a text from Harrison. "My mother said you were cruel to her." Simone responded for the first time since the filing. "Your mother said racist things to me. Tell her I said to go to hell. And tell yourself the same." She blocked his number immediately after. Saturday brought more news. Harrison's company was under investigation by the SEC for potential fraud. Apparently, the transferred money wasn't just theft from the marriage, he'd been using company funds too. Mixing personal and business accounts. The forensic accountant had found discrepancies totaling over $5 million. Diane called, excitement clear in her voice. "This changes everything. Criminal charges are possible. The prenup settlement might be the least of his worries. Will it affect the divorce? Only positively. The judge will look very unfavorably on criminal conduct. We might get an even better settlement." Sunday, Simone went apartment hunting with Tanya. She needed something permanent, somewhere to make a home for her daughter. They looked at 3 places before finding the perfect one, a bright 2-bedroom with huge windows and a nursery that caught the morning light. "This is it," Simone said, standing in the empty nursery. "This is where we start over." She signed the lease that afternoon. Move-in date, 2 weeks. Plenty of time before the baby came. Monday morning brought another bombshell. Someone had leaked Natasha's employment records. She'd been promoted twice in the past year, both times right after Harrison's company made substantial donations to her employer. Pay to play. More corruption. More evidence of how deep the betrayal went. Natasha's LinkedIn profile disappeared. Her social media accounts went private. She was trying to hide, but the internet never forgets. Screenshots of her posts with Harrison, carefully cropped to hide his identity but obvious in hindsight, circulated everywhere. One photo in particular went viral. Natasha at a beach, wearing the necklace. Harrison's necklace. The 3-year anniversary gift. The date stamp showed it was taken last month, while Simone was in her 2nd trimester. The comments were brutal. Imagine being proud of stealing someone's husband. She knew he was married. She knew her friend was pregnant. Disgusting. The necklace probably cost more than her integrity. Simone read through them all. She knew she should feel satisfaction. Victory. But mostly she felt tired. This was her life, turned into entertainment for strangers. Her pain packaged as drama. But it was also validation. Everyone could see what Harrison and Natasha had done. No one was buying their excuses or justifications. The court of public opinion had ruled and the verdict was clear. Tuesday, Harrison's company released a statement. He was taking a leave of absence pending the investigation. The board would be led by the CFO temporarily. Translation: they were pushing him out. Wednesday, 3 of Harrison's business partners filed lawsuits. They claimed he'd misrepresented financials and used their joint ventures to funnel money to personal accounts. The house of cards was collapsing, and everyone wanted to get clear before they got buried in the rubble. By Thursday, Harrison's net worth had dropped by 40%. The company's stock was in free fall. Investors were fleeing. The expansion plans were canceled. Everything he'd built was crumbling. Simone should have felt triumph. Instead, she felt something more complicated. Not pity, she'd never pity him. But maybe a recognition that destruction was never as satisfying as people thought it would be. She didn't want Harrison destroyed. She wanted him held accountable. There was a difference. Friday morning, she was drinking tea and reviewing apartment furniture options when her doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw 2 police officers. Her heart jumped. Something was wrong. The baby. Harrison. She opened the door. Mrs. Blake? We need to ask you some questions about the allegations against your husband. It took 2 hours. They wanted to know about the money, the transfers, the properties. They wanted to know what she knew and when she knew it. They wanted to know if she'd been involved. No, Simone said firmly. I discovered everything 2 weeks before I filed. I reported it to my attorney immediately. I have documentation of when I found each piece of evidence. They took her statement and left. Diane called 20 minutes later. They're building a criminal case. Grand jury investigation. This is serious. Will I have to testify? Probably. But as a witness, not a defendant. You're clear. You reported everything properly. That evening, Simone sat in her hotel room and looked at her reflection in the bathroom mirror. 34 years old. 6.5 months pregnant. Soon to be divorced. Her face looked different than it had 6 weeks ago. Harder. Sharper. Older. But also stronger. Clear. More certain. She placed her hands on her belly and felt her daughter kick. We're going to be okay, she whispered. Better than okay. We're going to be free. The grand jury indictment came down on a Tuesday morning. Federal charges. Wire fraud, embezzlement, money laundering. The news broke while Simone was at a doctor's appointment, listening to her daughter's heartbeat through the monitor. Everything looks perfect, the doctor said. Strong and healthy. You're doing great. Simone smiled, but her mind was elsewhere. Her phone buzzed with alerts. Text messages from Tanya. Emails from Diane. Voice messages from reporters she'd never spoken to. In the parking lot, she finally checked the news. Harrison's mugshot stared back at her from every major outlet. He'd been arrested at his office, walked out in handcuffs in front of television cameras. Bail set at $5 million. She sat in her car and stared at the photo. This man who had shared her bed for 7 years. Who had promised to love and honor her. Who was supposed to be her partner. Now a criminal defendant facing 20 years in federal prison. Mrs. Blake. A reporter appeared at her window, camera crew behind him. Do you have any comment on your husband's arrest? She started her car without answering and drove away. Behind her, they shouted questions she had no intention of answering. Back at the hotel, Diane was waiting in the lobby. We need to talk. Privately. In Simone's suite, Diane laid out the situation. The prosecutor wants you to testify before the grand jury. They need your testimony about the money, the transfers, everything you discovered. When? Next week. But there's more. Harrison's attorney called. He wants to negotiate. Negotiate what? Everything. The divorce. The custody arrangement. He's willing to accept all our terms if you agree not to testify against him in the criminal case. Simone laughed, sharp and bitter. He wants me to perjure myself? To refuse to cooperate with a federal investigation? Essentially, yes. He's desperate. The criminal case is solid without your testimony, but you make it airtight. You're the person who can explain the timeline, the pattern, the intent. Tell his attorney no. I'm testifying. I'm telling the truth. That's what people do when they're not criminals. Diane smiled. I thought you'd say that. I already told him no. But I wanted you to hear the offer. That afternoon, Simone's phone rang. A known number. She almost didn't answer, assuming it was another reporter. But something made her pick up. Simone? It's me. Natasha. Simone's hand tightened on the phone. How did you get this number? I'm sorry. I know you don't want to talk to me. But please, just listen for 1 minute. No. He lied to me too. He told me you had an open marriage. He said you knew about us and didn't care. He said you were staying together for appearances but that you'd both moved on emotionally. I believed him. Simone felt rage rise in her throat, hot and bitter. You knew I was pregnant. He said it was complicated. That you wanted the baby but not him. That you talked about divorce after the birth. I know how it sounds, but it sounds like you're a liar. You've known me for 15 years, Natasha. You were at our wedding. You know exactly what kind of marriage we had. And you chose to believe convenient lies because they let you do what you wanted without guilt. I never meant to hurt you. You meant exactly what happened. You wanted my husband. You took him. And now you're both facing consequences. Don't call me again. She hung up. Her hands shook. Her baby kicked hard, responding to her elevated heart rate. She breathed deeply, trying to calm down. The phone rang again. Natasha again. Simone blocked the number. 2 days later, news broke that Natasha was under investigation too. Not criminal charges but civil. Some of the money Harrison transferred had been used to start an LLC in her name. She'd signed documents. She'd benefited from the fraud. Lawsuits started piling up. Harrison's business partners. Investors who'd lost money. Even some employees whose pension funds had been mismanaged. Everyone wanted their piece of what was left. The mansion went on the market. Not by Harrison's choice. The bank foreclosed after 3 missed mortgage payments. Everything inside would be auctioned to pay debts. Simone arranged to collect her remaining belongings before the auction. She went early one morning with Tanya, a moving van, and 2 security guards Diane had hired. The house looked abandoned. Mail piled up in the foyer. Dust covered the furniture. Plants had died from neglect. In the kitchen, she found a glass on the counter, still half full of water gone stale. Like someone had set it down and never come back. This is creepy, Tanya said. It's like a ghost house. They worked quickly, taking anything Simone wanted to keep. More photo albums. Her grandmother's jewelry. Books. Art she'd purchased before the marriage. In the nursery, she stood for a long moment looking at the crib. Leave it, she finally said. I'm buying everything new for the new place. Fresh start. In Harrison's office, she found more evidence of his unraveling. Empty bottles. Overflowing ashtrays, though he'd quit smoking years ago. Papers scattered everywhere, like he'd been frantically searching for something. One document caught her eye. A loan application. He tried to borrow money using the house as collateral, not knowing the bank was already moving to foreclose. Denied in red stamp across the top. In the bedroom they'd shared, she found one of her scarves. She'd been looking for it the day she discovered the affair, couldn't find it anywhere. Now here it was, stuffed in Harrison's nightstand drawer. She pulled it out and something fell with it. Photos. Dozens of them. Pictures of her and Harrison from over the years. Wedding photos. Vacation photos. Candid shots of her laughing at dinner parties. All torn from albums and hidden in his drawer. Tanya looked over her shoulder. Why would he hide these? Simone didn't answer. She didn't need to. The answer was obvious. He'd been trying to erase her from his life while keeping up appearances. Preparing for a future where she wasn't his wife anymore. Where Natasha filled that role instead. She left the photos scattered on the bed and walked out. By noon, the truck was loaded. Simone took one last look at the house. 7 years of her life had happened here. Good years, or so she'd thought. Now she knew they'd been built on lies. She didn't feel sad leaving. She felt relieved. That weekend, she moved into her new apartment. Tanya and several friends helped her unpack. They hung curtains in the nursery and assembled the new crib. They filled the kitchen with groceries and the bathroom with towels. They made it feel like home. Sunday evening, after everyone left, Simone sat in the rocking chair in the nursery and looked around. White walls waiting for her to decorate. Empty shelves waiting for books and toys. A space full of potential instead of ghosts. Her daughter kicked steadily like she approved of this new place. This is ours, Simone said softly. Just ours. No lies. No betrayal. Just you and me building something real. Monday brought more news. Harrison's bail had been revoked after he violated the terms by contacting Simone through a mutual friend. He was back in jail waiting for trial. His attorney was trying to negotiate a plea deal, but the prosecution wasn't budging. They wanted prison time. Natasha had fled the city. Someone spotted her at her parents' house in another state. She deleted all her social media and changed her phone number. She was trying to disappear, but the lawsuits followed her anyway. Harrison's company officially declared bankruptcy. Hundreds of employees lost their jobs. The downtown office building was sold to cover debts. His name, once synonymous with success, was now a cautionary tale. Simone testified before the grand jury on a Wednesday. She told them everything. About the gala. About the investigation. About the hidden accounts and secret properties. About the 3 years of lies. When she finished, the prosecutor thanked her for her courage. "You made this case," she said. "Without you, he might have hidden it all forever." Simone nodded but didn't feel particularly courageous. She just told the truth. That was the bare minimum, not heroism. Outside the courthouse, she ignored the reporters and went straight to her car. But she couldn't help seeing the headlines on their phones and cameras. Blake's ex-wife testifies, 3 years of lies. Pregnant woman takes down billionaire husband in federal fraud case. From betrayal to testimony, Simone Blake speaks out. She drove home and tried to focus on normal things. Baby shopping, apartment decorating, reading parenting books. But the weight of everything pressed down on her. The divorce, the criminal case, the public attention, the approaching birth. That night, she dreamed of the gala again. But in the dream, when she saw Harrison and Natasha together, she didn't freeze. She walked straight to the stage, took the microphone, and told everyone the truth right then and there. In the dream, she was powerful and fearless and completely in control. She woke up to her baby kicking. 3 months left. 3 months to prepare for single motherhood. 3 months to finish building this new life. She placed her hand on her belly and made a promise. "I'm going to teach you that you never have to accept lies. That you're worth more than someone's leftovers. That choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival." The baby kicked again like she understood. 7 weeks after her grand jury testimony, Simone woke up at 3 in the morning to dampness on her sheets and a deep, pulling sensation low in her belly. Her first thought was confusion. Her second was clarity. The baby was coming early. She called Tanya, who arrived in 20 minutes, hair uncombed and wearing mismatched clothes. Together, they drove to the hospital through empty streets, timing contractions with the stopwatch on Simone's phone. 8 minutes apart, Simone reported, breathing through another one. "We're almost there. Just hold on." The hospital admitted her immediately. 7 centimeters dilated. Moving fast for a first baby. They got her into a delivery room and called her doctor. "Does anyone need to be notified?" the nurse asked, glancing at Simone's chart. "The father?" "No," Simone said firmly. "He doesn't need to know anything." Tanya squeezed her hand. "I'm here. That's all you need." Labor progressed quickly. By 6 in the morning, Simone was fully dilated and pushing. The pain was enormous, all-consuming, but she focused on the end goal. Her daughter. Her fresh start. Her new beginning. At 7:42, the baby emerged screaming and perfect. A full head of dark hair. Long fingers. Tiny, fierce face scrunched in outrage at being born. "She's beautiful," the doctor said, placing the baby on Simone's chest. "Congratulations, Mama." Simone looked down at her daughter and felt something break open inside her chest. Well, pure and overwhelming and terrifying. This small person who depended entirely on her. This small person who would never know the pain of her father's betrayal because Simone had chosen to walk away. "Hello," she whispered. "I'm your mom. I've been waiting to meet you." The baby's eyes opened, dark and unfocused. She stopped crying like she recognized Simone's voice. They named her Ruth, after Simone's grandmother. Ruth Marie Blake. Though Simone was already planning to legally change her own name back to her maiden name. Ruth Marie Thompson. A name with no connection to Harrison or his family. The next few hours passed in a blur. Nurses checked Ruth constantly. Simone tried to breastfeed with mixed success. Tanya took photos and made calls to family and friends. "Do you want me to tell anyone else?" Tanya asked carefully. "Like who?" "Like Harrison. He's still her father, technically. He has a legal right to know." Simone looked at Ruth, sleeping now in the clear plastic bassinet beside her bed. So small. So vulnerable. So completely dependent on Simone to protect her. "Call Diane. Ask her what I'm legally required to do. If I have to tell him, I will. But I'm not doing it out of obligation to him. Only because the law requires it." Diane called back within an hour. Legally, he has a right to be notified within 48 hours of the birth. Since he's incarcerated, notification goes through his attorney. "I'll handle it." "Thank you. How are you feeling?" "Exhausted. Sore. But good. Really good." "I'm glad. Enjoy these first days. The rest of it can wait." But the rest of it couldn't wait. By afternoon, Harrison's attorney had received notification. By evening, Harrison had filed an emergency motion for visitation rights. He wanted to see his daughter, even from jail. Diane called again. "The judge will review it, but given his incarceration and the circumstances, I don't think it'll be granted immediately. They'll want to wait until he's released, assuming he's released." Good. How do you feel about him meeting Ruth eventually? When she's older? Simone looked at her daughter again. Ruth slept peacefully, unaware of any complications. Unaware of her father in jail. Unaware of the betrayal and fraud and lies that brought her into the world. I don't know, Simone admitted. Part of me thinks she deserves to know her father. Part of me thinks she deserves to be protected from someone who proved he can't be trusted. I'll figure it out. But not today. That night, alone in her hospital room with Ruth sleeping beside her, Simone scrolled through her phone. The news had already broken. Someone at the hospital had leaked it, probably for money. Harrison Blake's daughter born while he awaits trial. Simone Blake gives birth, father not present. New mother denies jailed ex-husband visitation. The comments section was predictably divided. Some people said Harrison had a right to see his child regardless of his crimes. Others said Simone was protecting her daughter from a toxic person. Everyone had opinions about her choices. She turned off her phone and watched Ruth sleep. Nothing else mattered except this small person. This brand new life that deserved better than internet strangers debating her worth. The next 2 days in the hospital passed quietly. Friends visited. Her mother flew in from Florida and cried when she held Ruth. Even some members of the foundation board stopped by with flowers and gifts. But Harrison didn't come. Couldn't come. His motion was denied pending resolution of the criminal case. The judge ruled that an incarcerated parent with pending fraud charges was not an appropriate visitor for a newborn. Diane visited on day 3. She sat in the uncomfortable hospital chair and held Ruth with surprising gentleness. She's perfect, Diane said. Absolutely perfect. She is. The divorce will be finalized next month. The prenup settlement is ready. 70% of remaining assets after legal fees and restitution. It's not as much as it would have been before the fraud case, but it's still substantial. About $8 million. $8 million. Simone had grown up middle class. Her grandmother's inheritance had been comfortable but modest. $8 million was more money than she'd ever imagined having. And the foundation? Completely yours. Harrison has no claim. You can expand it, use the divorce settlement to fund new programs. You'll have resources to do real good. Simone looked at Ruth. That's what I want. To build something that matters. To show her that even when terrible things happen, you can create something beautiful. She went home on day 4. Her apartment had been prepared by Tanya and friends. The nursery was fully stocked. The refrigerator was full of prepared meals. Everything was ready. That first night alone with Ruth was terrifying. Every sound made Simone jump. Every sniffle from the baby sent her into panic. Was Ruth breathing okay? Was she eating enough? Was the room too hot or too cold? At 3 in the morning, she sat in the rocking chair, feeding Ruth, and started crying. Exhaustion and hormones and the weight of everything crashed down on her at once. I don't know if I can do this, she whispered. I don't know if I'm strong enough. Ruth looked up at her with those dark eyes, still unfocused but somehow aware. She made a small sound, almost like a coo. Like she was saying, yes you can. Simone wiped her eyes and kept rocking. By dawn, they'd both fallen asleep in the chair, Ruth tucked safely against her chest. The next few weeks were a blur of sleepless nights and steep learning curves. Breastfeeding got easier. Ruth's schedule became more predictable. Simone learned to function on 4 hours of broken sleep. Her mother stayed for 2 weeks, helping with everything. But eventually she had to go home to Florida, back to her own life. You're doing wonderfully, she said before she left. You're exactly the mother Ruth needs. What if I mess up? What if I make the wrong choices? Then you'll learn and do better next time. That's all any parent can do. Alone again, Simone established routines. Morning walks with Ruth in the stroller. Afternoon naps when Ruth napped. Evening baths and books. Simple rhythms that made her feel less overwhelmed. The foundation sent flowers and offered to give her as much time as she needed. She took 2 months fully off, then started working from home part-time. Just email and planning, nothing that required leaving Ruth. Harrison's trial date was set for 6 months away. He was still in jail, bail denied after another violation. Simone didn't follow the details closely. Diane sent her updates, but she didn't read them all. She was done letting Harrison take up space in her head. When Ruth was 2 months old, Simone legally changed her name. No more Blake. She became Simone Thompson again, the name she'd had for 27 years before marrying. Ruth's birth certificate was amended to Thompson as well. They were building something new. Something clean. Something with no connection to fraud and lies and betrayal. One afternoon while Ruth slept, Simone looked at her divorce papers. Finalized. Legal. Official. She was no longer Harrison's wife. She was just Simone. Just Ruth's mother. Just herself. She didn't feel sad. She felt free. That evening, she posted on social media for the first time since the birth. Just one photo, her hand holding Ruth's tiny hand, both of them with sunlight streaming through the nursery window. The caption, "Building something better." Within an hour, it had thousands of likes. Hundreds of comments from women sharing their own stories of leaving, of starting over, of choosing themselves. She read through them all, Ruth sleeping on her chest. Each story was different but somehow the same. Women who'd found the strength to walk away. Women who'd rebuilt their lives. Women who'd discovered they were enough on their own. "This is what I want to do," she said softly to Ruth. "Help them. All of them. Show them what's possible after betrayal." Ruth yawned, small and perfect. Simone kissed her head and started making plans. Ruth was 3 months old when Simone returned to the foundation full-time. She brought the baby with her at first, working from a private office with a portable bassinet beside her desk. The board had been patient, but there was work to do. "Welcome back," her board president said at their first meeting. "We've missed you. But more importantly, we have an opportunity." The divorce settlement had just cleared. $8 million sat in Simone's personal account. The foundation itself had its existing endowment from her grandmother's inheritance. But this new money could transform everything. "I want to expand," Simone said. "I want to create programs specifically for women leaving toxic relationships. Job training, housing assistance, legal support. Everything I needed and more." Over the next 6 months they built it. The foundation purchased a small apartment building, renovating it into transitional housing for women and children fleeing abuse or betrayal. 20 units, fully furnished, with on-site childcare and counseling services. They partnered with local businesses to create job training programs, coding boot camps, healthcare certification courses, small business development classes, pathways to financial independence. They hired 3 family lawyers who offered free consultations and reduced rate services. Women who couldn't afford to leave their husbands suddenly had options. The work consumed Simone, but in a good way. She felt purposeful again. Needed. Like her pain had meaning if she could use it to help others. Ruth came to the office every day. Staff took turns holding her during meetings. She slept through conference calls and gurgled during site visits. She became the foundation's unofficial mascot. "She's good luck," one staff member said. "Everything we've pitched since you came back has been funded." It was true. Donors loved the story. Betrayed wife turns pain into purpose. Woman who lost everything builds empire of support for others. The narrative was compelling and Simone knew how to use it. She started doing interviews. Local news at first, then regional magazines. Eventually, national outlets started calling. They wanted to know about the foundation, about her divorce, about how she'd survived such public betrayal. She was careful with what she shared. She talked about the foundation's work, about the women they'd helped, about the importance of financial independence and self-worth. She didn't discuss Harrison specifically or drag him publicly. Taking the high road? Reporters would ask. Focusing on what matters? She'd correct. He's in the past. The women we're helping are the present and future. 6 months after Ruth's birth, the first group of women moved into the transitional housing. Single mothers with children. Women who'd left abusive marriages. Young women escaping controlling relationships. 12 families in total, all starting over. Simone visited the building on move-in day. She watched mothers unpack in apartments that were clean and safe in theirs. She saw children running down hallways without fear. She saw hope. One woman approached her, a toddler on her hip. "Thank you. I don't have words. Just, thank you." Simone hugged her carefully. "You did the hard part. You left. Everything else we'll figure out together." The foundation's work gained national attention. A feature in a major business magazine. A segment on morning television. Speaking invitations from conferences and universities. Simone became the face of financial empowerment for women. With visibility came criticism. Some people said she was exploiting her divorce for publicity. Others said she was being unfair to Harrison, who was still awaiting trial. One particularly nasty article claimed she'd fabricated the affair to steal his money. Diane handled the legal threats. Simone ignored the noise. She knew the truth. That was enough. Harrison's trial finally began when Ruth was 8 months old. Simone didn't attend, but she followed the coverage. Testimony from forensic accountants. Evidence of money transfers. Witnesses who detailed his fraud. The prosecution played recordings of Harrison discussing how to hide assets. They showed emails planning the elaborate deception. They called Simone's testimony before the grand jury into evidence. His defense tried to paint him as a businessman who'd made mistakes, not a criminal. They claimed the money transfers were loans, not theft. They suggested Simone was vengeful and had manipulated evidence. The jury deliberated for 3 days. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous, guilty on all counts. Harrison was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. With good behavior he might serve 10. But either way, Ruth would be a teenager before her father was free. Simone felt nothing when she heard the news. Not satisfaction. Not sadness. Nothing. Harrison was a chapter she'd closed. His consequences were his own. The foundation celebrated its first-year anniversary when Ruth was 9 months old. They'd helped 73 women and their families, provided housing for 30, trained 45 in new skills, facilitated 12 successful business launches. At the celebration, several women shared their stories. A woman who'd left an abusive marriage and now owned her own catering company. A single mother who'd completed nursing school and just accepted a hospital position. A young woman who'd escaped a controlling relationship and started a non-profit of her own. Simone stood at the back of the room, Ruth in her arms, and listened. This was why she'd done it. Why she'd exposed Harrison. Why she'd testified. Why she'd poured her settlement into helping others. One woman looked directly at Simone while speaking. I thought my life was over when I left. I thought I'd be alone forever, struggling forever, paying for my mistake forever. But this foundation showed me that starting over isn't punishment. It's freedom. That night, Simone rocked Ruth to sleep and thought about freedom. A year ago, she'd been married to a criminal. Pregnant and discovering betrayal. Wondering if she had the strength to leave. Now she had a daughter who would never remember those dark days. A foundation that was changing lives. A purpose that filled her days with meaning. A life that was entirely her own. She kissed Ruth's forehead. We did it. We really did it. Ruth sighed in her sleep, content and safe. The next morning, Simone received an unexpected call. A publisher in New York. They wanted her to write a book about her experience. Not a tell-all about Harrison, but a guide for women rebuilding their lives after betrayal. We see you as a voice for financial empowerment and emotional resilience, the editor explained. Your story resonates because it's not about revenge. It's about rebuilding. Simone thought about it for a week before agreeing. She could write it during Ruth's naps. At night after she went to bed. It would be another way to help, another way to reach women who needed to hear that survival was possible. She started writing in stolen moments. The book became therapy, a way to process everything that had happened. She wrote about discovering the affair. About gathering evidence. About the strength required to walk away from someone you loved. But she also wrote about the aftermath. About single parenthood and sleepless nights. About building a business while grieving a marriage. About finding joy in small moments and purpose in pain. The manuscript took 6 months. Ruth learned to crawl, then pull herself up, then take wobbly steps. Simone wrote through all of it, documenting not just her journey but the lessons she'd learned. When she finished, she titled it, After Betrayal, Building a Life That's Bigger Than Your Pain. The publisher loved it. They scheduled publication for the following spring, almost 2 years after the divorce filing. Perfect timing, they said. The story would resonate. Meanwhile, the foundation kept growing. They opened a second transitional housing building, launched a scholarship program, created a mentorship network connecting successful women with those just starting their rebuilding journey. Simone's face appeared on magazine covers. Woman of the Year from multiple organizations. Speaking invitations doubled, then tripled. She traveled for conferences, always bringing Ruth, showing her daughter that women could be powerful and purposeful and present all at once. Patricia, Harrison's mother, tried to make contact several times. She wanted to meet Ruth, her granddaughter. Simone refused every request. She called my people racist, Simone told Diane. She defended Harrison's affair. She has no place in Ruth's life. She could petition the court for grandparent visitation rights. Let her try. I have documentation of every terrible thing she said. No judge will give her access after seeing that. Patricia never filed. Maybe her lawyer told her she had no case. Maybe she realized her son's choices had cost her more than just his freedom. When Ruth turned 1, Simone threw a small party. Just close friends and family. No press. No publicity. Just cake and balloons and a baby who was more interested in the wrapping paper than the presents. She's incredible, Tanya said, watching Ruth demolish a cupcake with single-minded determination. "You're both incredible." "We survived," Simone corrected. "That's all." "No. You didn't just survive. You built something better than what you had before." "That's not survival. That's triumph." "Maybe it was." Simone looked around her apartment at the life she'd created from ruins. At her daughter, healthy and happy. At her work, meaningful and growing. At her future, wide open and full of possibility. She'd started with nothing but betrayal and pain. She'd ended with everything that mattered. Harrison's prison sentence was just the beginning. While Simone built her new life, his old one continued to crumble in ways she only heard about secondhand. The civil lawsuits took everything. His business partners won judgments totaling $12 million. The investors who'd lost money got another $8 million. The employees whose pensions he'd mismanaged got $6 million more. The numbers added up to more than Harrison had ever actually possessed. His lawyer tried to declare bankruptcy, but the judge ruled that fraud debts couldn't be discharged. Harrison would owe that money for the rest of his life. Every dollar he ever earned would be garnished. He'd leave prison still in debt. The mansion Simone had once called home sold at auction for 60% of its value. A developer bought it, planning to tear it down and build condos. The life Harrison had worked so hard to build would be literally demolished. His company, once valued at $80 million, was sold for parts. The name disappeared. The employees scattered to other jobs. The downtown office building that had borne his name got a new sign. It was like he'd never existed. Natasha's consequences came slower but just as completely. She'd avoided criminal charges, but the civil lawsuits found her too. She was named as a co-defendant in several cases, accused of knowingly benefiting from stolen funds. She settled most of them by returning everything Harrison had given her. The condo, the car, the jewelry, even the clothes he'd purchased. She moved back in with her parents, her career destroyed, her name permanently associated with scandal. Simone heard through mutual acquaintances that Natasha had tried to restart her life in another city. But the internet never forgets. A quick search revealed everything. No reputable company would hire her. No professional network would accept her. She'd become untouchable. "Do you ever feel bad for her?" Tanya asked one afternoon while they watched Ruth play in the park. "No," Simone said honestly. She made choices. Adult choices with her eyes open. She knew what she was doing. What about Harrison? Ever feel bad for him? Simone thought about it. Harrison had lost everything. His freedom. His money. His reputation. His daughter's childhood. He'd go into prison at 42 and come out in his 50s, middle-aged and broken. "I feel bad that Ruth won't have a father in her life," Simone finally said. "I feel bad that his choices hurt more people than just me. But do I feel bad for him specifically? No. He earned every consequence." Ruth toddled over, grass stuck to her hands, demanding to be picked up. Simone lifted her easily. At 18 months old, Ruth was walking confidently and saying a few words. She looked like Simone, which felt like a blessing. No visible reminder of Harrison in her daughter's face. "Mama," Ruth said, patting Simone's cheek with a sticky hand. "Yes, baby. I'm right here." The foundation's second anniversary brought more milestones. They'd helped over 200 women now. The transitional housing was always full, with a waiting list of families needing help. The job training programs had a 90% placement rate. Women were rebuilding their lives with the foundation's support. Simone hired more staff. A full-time director so she could focus on bigger picture strategy. Program coordinators for each service area. Counselors and case managers. The foundation was becoming a real organization, not just her personal mission project. With the structure in place, she had time to think about herself again. About what she wanted beyond work and motherhood. About whether she was ready to consider dating. "You should get out there," Tanya encouraged. "Ruth is almost 2. You're 36. You deserve to have fun." "I don't know if I trust anyone enough." Not everyone is Harrison. Most people are actually decent. Simone knew that intellectually. But emotionally, the idea of trusting someone again felt impossible. Harrison had been so convincing. So genuine seeming. How could she ever believe another person's declarations of love? She focused on work instead. Her book published to strong reviews. "Honest and practical," one review said. "A roadmap for rebuilding without bitterness." It sold well, spending 6 weeks on bestseller lists. The royalties went straight to the foundation. Speaking engagements multiplied. Universities wanted her to talk to business students about ethical leadership. Women's conferences wanted her to discuss empowerment. Corporations brought her in to speak about resilience and integrity. She was becoming known not as Harrison Blake's ex-wife, but as Simone Thompson, founder of a foundation that was changing lives. The narrative had shifted. She'd reclaimed her story. Meanwhile, Harrison's requests for visits with Ruth continued. His lawyer filed motion after motion, arguing that he had a right to know his daughter. Each time, Simone's lawyer argued that an incarcerated father who'd shown such poor judgment and caused such harm was not in Ruth's best interest. The judge kept denying his requests, but she knew eventually he'd probably get supervised visitation. When Ruth was older. When she could understand. For now, they were safe from his intrusion. One afternoon, Diane called with unexpected news. Harrison's attorney wants to terminate his parental rights. Simone sat down slowly. What? He's offering to give up all rights to Ruth voluntarily. No more visitation requests. No more custody battles. In exchange, he wants to be released from child support obligations. Why would he do that? Because he's broke and will be for decades. Child support would be calculated on potential future earnings. Even from prison, he'd owe money. This way, he escapes that debt and you get complete legal control over Ruth. Simone thought about it. Part of her was relieved. No more legal battles. No more worrying about Ruth being forced to visit him. But part of her was sad for Ruth. Her father was choosing freedom from debt over any relationship with her. What do you think I should do? That's not a legal question. That's a personal one. Do you want him to have rights to Ruth? No. I want Ruth to be mine completely. I want to make decisions without consulting him. I want to protect her from his choices. Then accept the offer. She did. Within 2 weeks, the paperwork was filed. Harrison voluntarily terminated his parental rights. Ruth Thompson officially had only one legal parent, Simone. She told Ruth one day when she was older, she'd explained that her father made mistakes and couldn't be part of their lives. For now, Ruth was too young to ask questions. She knew only Simone, only their small family, only the life they'd built together. 2.5 years after the filing, Simone ran into someone from her old life at a coffee shop. A woman who'd been in their social circle, who'd attended those glamorous galas and charity events. Simone, I almost didn't recognize you. You look amazing. Thank you. How are you? Good. I heard about everything, of course. Everyone did. It was the scandal of the decade. She leaned in conspiratorially. I always thought something was off about him, you know. Too perfect. Too charming. Simone didn't believe her. If she'd thought anything was off, she would have said something then. But people always claimed they'd known after the fact. How is he doing? The woman asked. In prison, I mean. I have no idea. We have no contact. Really? Not even for the baby? He terminated his rights. Ruth is mine alone. The woman's eyes went wide. He gave up his own daughter? For money? For lack of money, technically. He didn't want to owe child support. That's awful. I'm so sorry. But Simone wasn't sorry. She was grateful. Every day she was grateful that she'd found the strength to leave. Grateful that she'd gathered evidence instead of confronting him immediately. Grateful that she'd chosen herself and Ruth over a marriage that was rotting from the inside. I'm not sorry, she told the woman honestly. I'm free. That's better than sorry. She left the coffee shop and went to pick up Ruth from daycare. Her daughter ran to her the moment she walked in, arms outstretched, face bright with joy. Mama. Mama home. Simone scooped her up and kissed her forehead. Mama's always coming home to you. Always. They drove to the foundation's main office. Ruth loved visiting, loved the women who worked there and the families who came for services. She was growing up understanding that helping people was normal. That building others up mattered. In Simone's office, she set Ruth down with toys and reviewed applications for their expanded scholarship program. They were funding college educations now for women who'd left toxic situations and wanted to restart their careers. Another way to break cycles and build futures. Her phone buzzed. A text from a number she didn't recognize. She almost deleted it without reading, assuming it was spam. But something made her open it. This is Natasha. I know you blocked me. I'm using a friend's phone. I need you to know I'm sorry. I was wrong. You didn't deserve what we did to you. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed to say it. Simone read the message 3 times. Natasha was sorry. 3 years later, buried under the rubble of her own consequences, she was sorry. Simone thought about responding. Thought about telling Natasha that sorry meant nothing. That actions had consequences. That some betrayals couldn't be forgiven. Instead, she deleted the message. Natasha didn't deserve her attention, not even to tell her to go away. The best revenge wasn't anger or words. It was indifference. She looked at Ruth, building a tower with blocks, completely absorbed in her task. This was what mattered. Not Natasha's guilt. Not Harrison's prison sentence. Just this moment, this child, this life they'd built from ashes. She'd won not by destroying them, but by creating something better without them. 2 years after the divorce finalized, Simone stood on the construction site of the Foundation's third housing building. Ruth, now 3 years old, wore a tiny hard hat and held Simone's hand. "Big building," Ruth observed, pointing at the steel framework rising against the sky. "Very big. 50 families will live here. 50 mamas and their babies just like us." "They're starting over?" Simone squeezed her daughter's hand. "Yes, baby. They're starting over." The foundation had grown beyond anything she'd imagined. 3 housing buildings across the city. Job training programs in 6 locations. A legal clinic staffed by volunteer attorneys. A small business incubator that had helped launch 43 women-owned companies. They'd helped over 500 families in 3 years. National organizations had taken notice. Simone's model was being replicated in other cities. Dallas, Atlanta, Seattle, Chicago. Each new foundation adapted her programs to their local needs, but the core remained, supporting women as they rebuilt their lives after betrayal or abuse. Her book had led to a second book, focused specifically on financial literacy and independence. That one was being used in college courses and women's groups across the country. Publishers were already asking about a third. But standing here, watching construction workers build something solid and permanent, Simone felt a different kind of accomplishment. This wasn't about her anymore. This was bigger than her story. This was a movement. "Miss Thompson?" A man approached, clipboard in hand. "I'm Adrian Wright, the architect on this project. I wanted to introduce myself." Simone shook his hand. He was tall, with kind eyes and sawdust on his boots. Real. Solid. She liked him immediately. "Your design is beautiful. Functional but warm. Exactly what we needed. That's the goal. I believe housing should feel like home, not like charity." He crouched down to Ruth's level. "And who's this?" "I'm Ruth," her daughter announced proudly. "I'm 3.5. 3.5? That's practically grown up. You must be very helpful to your mom." Ruth nodded seriously. "I help a lot." Adrian smiled at Simone. "I can tell. She seems very responsible." They talked about the construction timeline, about material choices and budget considerations. Adrian clearly cared about the project beyond just collecting his fee. He asked thoughtful questions about the families who'd live there, about their needs and challenges. "I grew up in housing like this," he said. "My mom left my dad when I was 5. We lived in a shelter for 6 months, then transitional housing for 2 years. Those programs saved us. Let my mom go to nursing school while someone watched me. She retired last year as a head nurse. Never would have happened without that support." Simone felt something shift in her chest. "That's exactly why we do this. Breaking cycles. Building futures. Well, I'm honored to be part of it." Over the next few months, Simone saw Adrian regularly at construction meetings. He always asked about Ruth, remembered details from previous conversations. He was professional but warm, respectful but friendly. "He's interested in you," Tanya observed after sitting in on one meeting. "Very interested. He's interested in the project." "Simone, I know what interested looks like. That man is finding reasons to schedule extra meetings just to see you. I don't have time for dating. I have Ruth and the foundation and the book tour and you're making excuses because you're scared." Maybe she was scared. It had been 3 years since Harrison, but the betrayal still felt fresh sometimes. The idea of trusting someone again, of being vulnerable, of believing someone's intentions were pure, it all felt impossible. But Adrian kept showing up. At construction sites. At foundation events. He volunteered to help with a fundraiser, building auction display stands in his free time. He brought Ruth little gifts, children's books about architecture, toy building blocks, once a tiny tool belt that made her squeal with delight. "He's good with her," Simone admitted to Tanya one evening. "He's good with you too. He looks at you like you're the son. What if I'm wrong again? What if I think he's genuine and he's just another liar? What if he's exactly who he seems to be? What if you miss something good because you're afraid of being hurt again?" Simone thought about that. She'd spent 3 years rebuilding her life, proving she didn't need anyone. But wanting someone was different from needing them. Maybe she could want connection without it meaning she was weak. The housing building completed 6 months after breaking ground. Move-in day was a celebration, with staff and volunteers helping families settle into clean, safe apartments. Ruth ran through hallways with other children, delighted by the chaos. Adrian found Simone on the 3rd floor, watching a single mother unpack in her new bedroom. "We did good work here. You did good work. This building is solid. These families will be safe for years because you built it right. I built what you designed. The vision was yours." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the mother carefully arrange family photos on her new dresser. Starting over with what little she had, building something new. "Can I take you to dinner?" Adrian asked quietly. "Not a work dinner. A real dinner. Just us." Simone's heart jumped. "I'd have to bring Ruth. I don't like leaving her with sitters much. I know a great pizza place with an arcade. Ruth would love it." She looked at him. Really looked at him. At his kind eyes and honest face. At the way he'd shown up consistently for months without pushing, without demanding anything. At the way Ruth already trusted him. "Okay, dinner. Friday night." His smile was bright and genuine. "Friday it is." The dinner was easy. Ruth monopolized Adrian's attention, showing him how she could work every arcade game. He was patient and playful, letting her win at skee-ball and celebrating her victories. He split a pitcher of root beer with her like it was champagne. "You're really good with kids," Simone observed. "I like kids. They're honest. What you see is what you get." He looked at her meaningfully. "I appreciate that quality in people." They went to dinner again the next week. And the week after that. Slowly, carefully, Simone let her guard down. Adrian was consistent. Reliable. He said what he meant and did what he promised. He didn't play games or keep secrets. "I know you've been hurt," he said one evening after Ruth had fallen asleep in her stroller. They sat on a bench in the park, spring air warm around them. "I know someone broke your trust badly. I'm not asking you to trust me immediately. I'm just asking for a chance to prove I'm different." "How do I know you're different?" "You watch me. You pay attention. And if you ever see me lie to you or hide things from you, you walk away immediately. I'm not perfect, Simone. But I'm honest. That's non-negotiable for me." She studied his face in the streetlight. "Why me? You could date anyone. Someone without all this baggage. Because you're incredible. You took devastating pain and turned it into a foundation that helps hundreds of people. You raised a beautiful daughter alone. You rebuilt your entire life from nothing. That's not baggage. That's strength." Something in her chest loosened. "I'm not looking for someone to save me. I already saved myself." "I know. I'm not trying to save you. I'm just asking if you have room in your life for someone who wants to build alongside you." She thought about it. About the life she'd created, so carefully protected. About whether she was ready to let someone in again. About whether she wanted to. "Yes," she finally said. "I think I do." Their relationship grew slowly. Adrian met Tanya, who approved immediately. He met Simone's mother, who cried and hugged him and said she was so glad Simone had found someone good. He integrated into their life without trying to change anything. He never pushed for more than Simone was ready to give. He respected her boundaries. He understood when she needed space. And slowly, over months, she felt herself falling for him in a way that felt nothing like her relationship with Harrison. This was based on honesty, on shared values, on mutual respect, on showing up consistently and choosing each other every day. Not on grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but on quiet reliability and genuine care. When Ruth turned 4, they threw her a birthday party in the Foundation's community center. 50 people came, staff, families from the housing buildings, friends, Simone's family. Adrian helped set up, hung decorations, organized games. Ruth, chocolate cake smeared across her face, climbed into Adrian's lap. "Are you my daddy now?" The entire room went quiet. Simone's heart stopped. Adrian looked at Simone, waiting for permission. She nodded slightly. "I'm not your daddy," he said gently to Ruth. "You have a daddy even though he's not here. But I'm someone who loves you and your mom very much. Is that okay?" "That's good," Ruth declared, then ran off to play with other kids. Simone couldn't breathe. Adrian had handled it perfectly. Honestly. Without trying to erase Harrison or claim a role he hadn't earned. That night, after Ruth was asleep, they talked about it. "I'll never try to replace her father," Adrian said. "But I want to be in her life. In both of your lives. For real. Long term." "I want that too," Simone admitted. "I'm ready for that." 6 months later, Adrian moved in. Not as a rescue or a solution, but as a partner. They were building something together, the three of them. A real family based on choice and honesty and love. The foundation celebrated its 5th anniversary with a gala. Full circle from that terrible night when Simone discovered the affair at another gala. But this time she stood at the podium with confidence and joy instead of shock and pain. 5 years ago, I stood on a stage and gave a speech about rebuilding, she told the crowd. I didn't know then what that would mean. I thought I'd lost everything. My marriage. My future. My sense of who I was. She looked at Adrian and Ruth in the front row. But I learned that sometimes what looks like an ending is actually a beginning. That you can lose everything and still have everything that matters. That the best revenge isn't destroying the people who hurt you, it's building something so beautiful that their betrayal becomes irrelevant. The audience applauded. Cameras flashed. But Simone only saw Ruth and Adrian, her real family, cheering for her. After the gala, they went home to their apartment, their home, full of love and laughter and truth. Ruth fell asleep in Adrian's arms while he carried her to bed. Simone tucked her in, kissed her forehead and whispered, "We did it, baby. We really did it." In the living room, Adrian pulled her close. "I'm proud of you. Everything you've built. Everything you've become. We built it. All of us together. No, you built the foundation. I'm just lucky enough to get to help maintain it." She kissed him, grateful and happy and free. Completely free from the past, fully present in this moment, excited for the future they were creating together. Outside their window, the city lights sparkled. Somewhere in that city were women in their housing buildings, sleeping safely. Women in job training programs, building careers. Women starting businesses, leaving toxic relationships, choosing themselves. All because Simone had chosen herself first. Had refused to accept betrayal. Had walked away from lies and built truth instead. The best revenge, she'd learned, wasn't destruction. It was creation. Building a life so full and purposeful that the person who hurt you became a footnote in your origin story, not the author of your ending. She looked at Adrian, at the life they were building, at her sleeping daughter down the hall. This was victory. Not because Harrison was in prison or Natasha was exiled. But because Simone was happy. Genuinely, fully happy. She'd been wrapped in lies for 3 years. Now she was wrapped in truth. And truth, she'd learned, was so much warmer than any embrace built on deception.
Before we close this story, I want you to take a quiet moment and really think about what you just witnessed. Because this wasn't just a story, it was a journey through pain, through struggle, through moments that could have broken someone completely, but didn't. What you saw today is a reflection of a deeper truth. A truth about resilience, about courage, about the kind of strength that doesn't always look powerful on the surface, but refuses to disappear no matter how heavy the weight becomes. On journeys that matter, stories that carry emotion, meaning and truth, even when they are fictional, because they are inspired by realities that exist in the world around us. Stories of Black women who are often underestimated, overlooked, or unheard, and yet, time and time again, they rise. They rise after betrayal. They rise after injustice. They rise after being told they are not enough. And every time they rise, they redefine what strength truly means. Maybe as you listened, you felt something shift inside you. Maybe certain moments stayed with you. Maybe you saw a reflection of real struggles that don't always get the attention they deserve. That's why these stories are told, to give voice to what is often silenced, to shine light on what is often ignored, to remind the world that strength can come from the most painful places and still become something powerful, something unbreakable. Because being strong doesn't mean never falling, it means rising, even when no one expects you to. And the women in these stories, they rise not just for themselves, but for every voice that has ever been doubted, dismissed, or pushed aside. So, if this story touched you, if it made you think or feel or reflect in any way, then carry that with you. Let it remind you that behind
every struggle, there is story worth telling. Behind every scar, there is a victory that deserves to be seen. And behind every woman who refuses to give up, there is the power the world cannot ignore. If you believe in stories like this, stories that speak truth, strength, and resilience, then stay connected with us. Because there are many voices to hear, many more journeys to witness, and many more powerful stories waiting to be told. Thank you for spending this time with me. Until the next story, take care,